ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्ख्यपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ Namaste once again everyone. So we are seeing
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Fifth shloka of the 9th chapter. Nacha matstani bhutani pashya me yogamaishwaram bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastah mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So from the 4th verse of the 9th chapter that we are seeing now, Lord Krishna is dealing with the important topic of Ishvara Swarupam, the nature of God. And as I said, this topic is discussed up to verse number 10. Krishna has already introduced Ishvara Swarupam in the 7th chapter, wherein it was said that the Lord has got a higher nature, which is called Paraprakriti or Brahman, and the Lord has got a lower nature, which is called Aparaprakriti or Maya. And of this, the Brahma Swarupam alone is the real nature of the God. And that Brahma Swarupam is being described in all these verses. And that is why we can't take this portion as the essence of all Upanishads. And we have already seen some features of the higher nature of God. First one that was pointed out was Avyaktaha. Avyaktaha Ishwaraha. The Lord in his real nature is not available for any sense organs. He is what you call suprasensory, which means the Lord is free from the fivefold properties of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. And if we experience the Lord with any of these five properties, then it may be the Lord, all right, but it is not the higher nature of Lord. What we would be experiencing is the lower nature. In fact, any experienced Lord is of lower nature only. So avyaktatvam is the first feature. And the second feature one we saw was sarvagatatva. Since the Lord does not have a form, the Lord does not have boundaries or limits. And therefore, the Lord has to be all pervading. Sarvagatatvam is the second feature we saw in the fourth verse. Then Krishna said in the fourth verse itself, Matstani Sarva Bhutani. He pointed out that the Lord in his higher nature is the support or the substratum of the entire visible universe, the material universe. Jagat Adhishthanam. So Jagat Adhishtanatvam was the third feature. So all the things and beings, they are Matstani. They are resting in me. So he is Vishwadharam. The Lord is supporting the whole universe. And this is a very important feature because the higher nature of God is said to be consciousness. The world is material in nature. Therefore, when it is said that God in his higher nature is the substratum of the world, what it indirectly means is consciousness is the substratum of matter. Consciousness is the stuff of the matter. Consciousness is the essence of matter. Which means what? There cannot be matter without consciousness. Normally, we think, and even many scientists still recently believed that there cannot be consciousness without matter. But here, Krishna says it is the other way around. Consciousness can exist independent of matter. Matter cannot exist independent of consciousness. That means consciousness is Satyam, matter is Mithya. Therefore, the Lord is Mithya Jagat Adhishtana Swarupaha. Then Krishna added one more clarification. He said, even though the whole universe is supported by me, Nacha aham teshu avastitaha. I am not supported by the world. I am ever the supporter. I am never the supported. That means the whole creation rests in me, but I do not rest on any support. So the Lord in his higher nature is Jagat Adhara or Jagat Adhishtanam. That is the third feature we saw. And these were the three features which were covered in the fourth verse. Then when we came to the fifth verse, Krishna presented a startling contradiction to what he had said in the fourth verse. After saying in the fourth verse, Matstani Sarva Bhutani, immediately he contradicts himself in the fifth verse by stating, Nacha Matstani Bhutani. That is, the beings are not in me. In fact, the world or beings do not rest in me. Now, for people like us, such contradictions are very difficult or almost impossible to resolve. Even earlier itself, when he said, Astani sarva bhutani na nachame teshu avastitah, that itself was a little bit, we didn't understand. But then we found out that what it means is, I support the world, but the world does not support me. Okay, we understood and we accepted that. But here he is saying totally opposite. Nachamatstani bhutani. And since these are all certain contradictions, I would probably call it rather, very, very significant contradictions in the Shastras. We require some great guru to explain to us what it all means. And that is why we have got Acharyas like Adi Shankara, who comes to our rescue. Otherwise, what will happen? We will come across this contradiction. We will not find an acceptable resolution. We would discard. We would reject the whole teaching of Gita. We will say, oh, what is this? I mean, Krishna, I think said something, and everybody is just don't understand that. That's why they are praising. Now, this happens sometimes, especially in Carnatic music recitals, kacheris. Some people will be sitting in the first row, and they will be enjoying the music program, shaking their head and doing the talam, etc., everything. But just go and ask them, what is this ragam that is singing? They will not know. So, like that, we will think Krishna also is saying so many things, but he doesn't actually know what he is talking. But then Krishna is not going to be the loser. We are going to be the loser, because such a great message of the Gita we will be deprived of. So let us now understand this conundrum. Suppose you say there is a thing which is existent. So X is existent there. A thing called X is existent in one place. And in the next moment you say X is not existent there. And both are statements coming from an intelligent person. And therefore, the first thing that you have to do is, instead of rejecting both the statements, you have to accommodate both the statements. You have to think deeply. How should I understand these both statements, which are seemingly contradictory? You cannot accept one and reject another, because both are coming from the same Lord himself. And Shankaracharya says, only one way to understand the import of these two statements. X is existent also must be validated. X is non-existent also must be validated. So how do you validate both? Shankaracharya says, X is seemingly existent. So X is seemingly existent. That means what? From one angle, it is existent, because for appearance, it is very much there. And therefore, you have to accept the existence of X. But on closer scrutiny, closer inquiry, you find that it has only got seeming existent. Therefore, you say it is non-existent. Therefore, anything apparently existent or anything seemingly existent will come under this category, this in-between category. What do you mean by this in-between category? From one angle, it seems to exist. From another angle, it is really non-existent. Now, naturally, a brilliant, bright student will ask, that's all very fine, but do we have such cases? What are the examples? And in fact, if you think about it, we have got plenty of such cases. Several examples we can give. One example which we have discussed a number of times is our own dream experience. If somebody asks, is dream existent or non-existent? you will have to first say it is existent. Why? Because you have experienced the dream intimately. In fact, when you wake up in the morning after a fresh dream, even many of the sequences or characters in the dream are fresh in your mind. In your waking state, you can recall those characters, you can remember the dream. So it is very much existent for you at that point in time. So at that time of experience of the dream, it was very tangibly and many times frighteningly, nightmarishly real. And that is why when we go to bed, we say a prayer. What is that? Oh Lord, let me have a good sleep. Let me have good dreams. Let me not have bad and horrifying dreams. Let the new morning begin well. Let me hear all good things tomorrow, etc., etc. We have such wonderful prayers which our parents would have taught us in our childhood.
Dushapna, Dushagna.
Yeah, different prayers. I mean, some are in Sanskrit, some prayers in Tamil, but common theme of all the prayers is this only, especially childhood, because children, they are more prone to all these, nightmarish dreams rather. They will cry in the dream. Sometimes they will smile also. Because when you are having a horrifying, nightmarish dream, it is capable of frightening you. Therefore, from a dreamer's angle, the dream is very much real, very much existent. The enjoyable ride on the elephant was real. The tiger chasing the elephant was also real. But when you wake up and start looking at the dream from a higher standpoint, from a waker's standpoint, you discover that whatever you dreamt did not really exist at all. There was no object other than your own thought. So the elephant, the joyride, the chasing tiger, all that you dreamt in dream was nothing but a thought in your mind. There was actually no external object. And therefore, does the dream exist or not? Is the question. From a dreamer's angle, it exists. But from a waker's angle, it is not there. It does not exist. From a lower order of reality, it is there. From a higher order of reality, it is not there. And this unique thing in Vedanta is called mithya. Mithya means experientially available but factually non existent. Anything experientially available, apparently available, capable of invoking responses from you, but at the same time, factually, on viewing from a higher angle, it is not there. Such a thing is called seemingly existent in Vedanta, just an appearance. And in technical terms, in Vedantic terms, it is defined as sad asadbhyam anirvachaniyam. Anirvachaniyam means you cannot actually, say what it is. You cannot say it is there. You cannot say it is not there. You cannot say it is not there because you experience it and it frightens you. At the same time, you cannot say it is there because when you wake up, it is not there, it vanishes. Otherwise, suppose you have dreamt in the dream that you have won a big lottery, some big prize. Or say you are participating in Kaun Banega Karodpati and some 1 crore prize money you have won. If that was a reality when you wake up, you will be looking for some message to come, how to go and collect that money. You will start planning, what should I do with that money and all that, isn't it? But while all that appeared to be real in the dream, it does not give you any benefit on waking up. Your bank balance remains the same only. But at least in the dream, it gave you enough happiness. Now, that is one example we can cite. Okay, so what is another example? Another example is a magic show. When the magician folds a hand towel like this, he will crumble the hand towel like this. And then he will catch hold of one corner and then he will just open it like this with a jerk. And he will have a bouquet in his hand. It appears that he has converted the hand towel into a bouquet of flowers. Now, between the two, the hand towel and the bouquet, which one is real and which one is an appearance, we cannot tell. Therefore, that which has got an existence of a lower order of reality is called mithya. So, by accepting the universe and rejecting the universe, Krishna is pointing out that the world does not exist, but it has got a lower order of reality. From this body standpoint, the world is existent. But from Brahman standpoint, the world is non-existent. And that is called Mithya Jagat. And who is that Lord or Brahman? That Brahman is the support of this Mithya Jagat. And therefore, Brahman or the higher nature of called is called Mithya Jagat Adhishtanam. In fact, in Lalita Sahasranamam, one of the nama is Mithya Jagat Adhishtanaha. So, Mithya does not mean it is false or it is non-existent. Mithya also does not mean it is existent. Mithya means anirvachaniyam, inexplicable. And therefore, Krishna says, Nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram. May you appreciate my higher yoga. What is my higher yoga? My higher nature? In Vedanta, the higher order of reality is called Paramarthika Satyam. The worldly order of reality, which is a lower order of reality, is called Vyavaharika Satyam, empirical reality or Mithya. The lower order of reality is non-existent from the standpoint of absolute reality. This is the crux of Vedanta. Empirical reality is non-existent. Empirical reality is not non-existent from the standpoint of, empirical reality is not existent from the standpoint of absolute reality. Empirical reality is existent from the standpoint of ordinary worldly perception. And therefore, Krishna says, this is my higher nature. May you recognize Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And therefore, Krishna here gives the entire essence of Vedantic teaching. And not only that, this also being the higher nature, being consciousness, that reinforces the third feature, I am formless, I am all pervading, I am the substratum of the Mithya universe. That is how we have to understand these kind of contradictory statements which we come across in Bhagavad Gita, and even in Upanishads we will come across such statements. So if anybody has got any doubt, please raise it. Of course, today We may not have satsang because I have to go for dinner. 8 o'clock, I have to be there. So maybe 5 minutes before I will close the class. But note down the doubt, and then next class we can deal with them. Okay. Right. Now, what is the fourth feature? Three features he has talked and he has also contradicted himself, and we have clarified that also. Fourth feature, Krishna says, Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavana cha Bhuta Bhrit. I am the Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam of this entire universe. Just as the Veka is the Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam of the dream world. The dream world does not exist outside me. It comes out of me. And the irony is, I create the dream world, and seeing the dream, I also get frightened. We have heard about these Dracula movies and all. I'm told that there is another movie called The Hollow Man. I have not seen that. The scenes of those movies that we have seen are imprinted in our mind. And in the dream, from the hollow of my head, this is Swami Paramatmananda's expression. From the hollow of my head, hollow man comes, frightens me. It becomes my Frankenstein monster. And then when I wake up, what happens? What happens to the dream world? Where does it go? The entire dream world is resolved into the waker, into me. In the same way, Krishna says, this universe is like a dream from the standpoint of Brahman or higher nature of God. And from that Lord, the universe is created like a dream. It exists like in the dream and resolves like a dream. Therefore, Mama Atma, here the word Atma means higher nature. Para Prakritihi is Bhuta Bhavana. Bhavana is Srishti Karanam. Bhavayati Utpadayati iti Bhavana. Bhuta refers to the entire creation. So he says, I am Srishti Karta. And not only that, I am Bhuta Bhrit. Bhrit means Sthiti Karta. Just as the waker is the supporter of the dream world, when you wake up, you cannot say, let the dream world continue. I will go to the office and come back and continue the dream. Once you wake up, the dream world cannot be sustained. Therefore, you project, you support the dream in a particular state. Similarly, Brahman projects, Brahman supports the entire universe. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, tat vijnasasva, tat brahmeti. Beautiful definition. This is what Krishna is saying here. As I said, this portion, it's the essence of all Upanishads. So that idea of the Taittiriya Upanishad is revealed here. I am Sthiti Karanam. Bhuta Bhrit is equal to Sthiti Karanam. Then, of course, Krishna does not talk about the Laya Karanam, but we can supply the Laya Karanam. I swallow the whole universe, including time and space. For that, we can refer to Kathopanishad here. Yasya brahmacha kshatram cha ubhe bhavata odanaha mrityur yasyopa sechanam ka ittha vedayatra saha. There, Yamadharma Raja is telling Nachiketa, I swallow everything, including time and space. And that is why, we have to understand the Lord in his higher nature is beyond time and space. If the Lord is within time and space, Lord cannot swallow time. In fact, time would have swallowed the Lord. But now, Lord can swallow time because Lord is beyond time. And therefore, I am Layakaranam cha. At the same time, na bhutastaha. I am the supporter of the creation, but I am not supported by the creation. Nacha bhutastaha. I do not depend upon the world. That means what? The world cannot exist without me, but I can exist without the world. And that is what is the definition of Satyam. Satyam can exist without Mithya, but Mithya cannot exist without Satyam. Dream cannot exist without Veka, but Vaker can exist without dream. Similarly, the Lord can exist without the world. World cannot exist without the Lord. And this is called in Vedantic terms Satyamitya Sambandha, Adhishtana Adhyasa Sambandha in the Upanishadic literature. So now Krishna continues to expound this topic. Yatakasho stito nityam, yatakashastito nityam, vayus sarvatra gomahan, tata sarvani bhutani, matstani tyupadharaya. The Anvaya is Yata Mahan Sarvatragah Vayuhu Nityam Akashastitaha Tata Sarvani Bhutani Matstani Iti Upadharaya. Yatha, just as, Mahan, the great, Sarvatragah Vayu, all pervading wind, Nityam Akashastitaha, ever present in space, Tatha, in the same manner, Sarvani Bhutani, all beings, Matstani are in me, Iti Upadharaya, thus may you understand. So here Krishna gives an example for Arjuna to understand and for all of us to understand also. Just as the great all-pervading wind is ever present in space, in the same manner all beings are in me. Thus you may understand. So in this verse, Krishna introduces the fifth feature of the Lord or Brahman. And the fifth feature introduced here is what? Asangatvam, unsullied nature, untainted nature. So in the previous verse, Krishna has said, I support the whole universe. Universe is resting on me. So naturally one will wonder, if the Lord is associated with the universe and the universe is upon the Lord, whatever impurities and defects are there in the world, it may affect the Lord. Suppose, we are sitting with some white, nicely washed and ironed white dress. And suppose a dirty object is kept on your lap. Will you allow that object to come on you? You wouldn't, isn't it? Because if your dress is going to support an impure object, the impure object will sully your dress, spoil your dress. The impurity of the object will get transferred to your dress. So naturally we will have a doubt. Bhagavan is holding the entire creation, which is full of all problems. Many people are there with defects, punyam, papam, and all those things. Will all these things not affect the poor Lord? Natural question. Krishna says that is not the case. I accommodate everything, but I am not tainted by anything. This is called asangatvam. And what is the example? Krishna himself gives the example of Akasha. It is a beautiful example used in the scriptures. Akasha or space is the nearest example for Brahman. Space is formless. Brahman or real Ishvara is also formless. Space is all pervading. By saying real, what I mean is the higher nature. So space is all pervading, Brahman is all pervading. Space accommodates everything. Everything is in space. Similarly, Lord also accommodates everything. So now you will ask, what is the difference between the two? Why there is separate Brahman when everything is same? There is a difference. Because Brahman accommodates space also. Space does not accommodate Brahman. Other than Brahman, it accommodates everything else in this universe. But Brahman accommodates everything, including space. That is the difference. And another feature of space is, even though space accommodates everything, space is not burned by fire, wet by water. Achedyoyam, achedyoyam, adahyoyam, akledyo shoshya evacha. This is what talked about the Lord about Atma in the second chapter. Similarly, you cannot cut space, you cannot burn space. Even though fire is in space, it will not burn the space. So this nature of space is called asangatvam. Similarly, the Lord accommodates everything, including all akramams that is going on in the world. But Lord is not tainted by both kramam and akramam. And that is what is also said in Kathopanishad. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat krita kritat. Goodness of the world also does not get associated with the Lord. The badness of the world also does not get associated with the Lord. And therefore, we cannot categorize Lord as good or bad. But then normally what happens? We tend to give the answer to the Lord is good. But Krishna says the higher nature of the God is beyond good and bad, because good and bad belongs to the relative empirical world in which pairs of opposites are there. If the Lord comes within the pairs of opposites, Lord will again be within the empirical world of time and space. And therefore here Krishna says, I am neither beautiful nor ugly. I am neither good nor bad. I am neither punyavan nor papavan. Who am I? I am beyond. I am dvandvatitam gaganasadrisham. I am like space. And therefore he gives the Akasha example. Vayuhu Akasha stitaha. The space accommodates the Vayu Tattvam or wind. Of course, the space accommodates everything, as I said. But Krishna takes the example of wind, Vayu. What type of Vayu? In some places, the Vayu is fragrant Vayu. For example, you go to a very wonderful flower garden. Lot of flowers, roses and things like that. Lovely fragrance will be there. Or you go to a place where there is agarbatti is kept. In fact, when you enter a temple, mostly rather, you will get a very nice fragrant smell of the agarbatti or whatever they are, burning there. Sugandha Vayuhu will be there. Then we have got this sewage system. And there is this Vayu wafting from there. It is Durgandha Vayuhu. And this is the nature of Vayuhu. And Akasha accommodates both Sugandha Vayuhu as well as Durgandha Vayuhu. Fragrant air as well as the foul smelling air. But Akasha itself does not become either Sugandha or Durgandha. Because Akasha becomes Sugandha or Durgandha, whenever you come to that place, you will get that smell. But that is not the case. Both of them belong to Vayuhu and not to Akasha. And therefore he says, Vayuhu Akasha Stitaha. Vayuhu is located in space. When Nityam, always. And not only that, Sarvatraga Vayuhu, it moves everywhere. It is Mahan, being vast or great. But in spite of Vayuhu moving with good and bad smell, Akasha is Asangaha. Tatha, in the same way. Sarvani Bhutani Matstani. Good people are also there, bad people are also there. Good smells are also there, bad smells are also there. Despite everything, I am not affected. Iti upadharaya. May you understand, may you ascertain this. May you be convinced of this. And therefore, do not think that because I said that I support the whole universe and the whole universe is in me, do not misunderstand that the universe affects me in any manner. I am detached, asangaha. So this is the fifth feature of the higher nature of Lord, which Krishna points out. Now next sloka. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrijamyaham. He kaunteya, Anmaya, kalpakshaye sarvabhutani yanti mamikam prakritim punah kalpadau aham visrjami tani. Very simple Sanskrit. He Kaunteya, ho Arjuna, kalpakshaye, at the end of each cycle of creation, sarva bhutani, all beings, yanti, resolve, mamikam prakritim, into my prakriti, punaha, again, kalpadau, at the beginning of the next cycle, aham visrjami, I create, tani dam. O Arjuna, at the end of each cycle, all beings resolve into my Prakriti. Again, at the beginning of the next cycle, I create them. So, in the fifth verse, Krishna pointed out that the Lord is, or He is, Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam of this entire universe. That idea is given further explanation in these two verses. So 7th verse and 8th verse is the explanation of Jagat Karanatvam of Brahman. So how does the Lord create? Here Krishna says, before creation of this universe, the universe was already existent in me in unmanifest form or potential form. Because as we have discussed a number of times, nothing new can be created. According to the law of conservation of matter and energy, nothing can be newly created. Even an ounce of matter cannot be created by anyone, including the Lord. Even though God is omnipotent, even an ounce of matter cannot be created. And therefore, Krishna says, I do not create the world at all. See, another contradiction. I am the Srishti Karanam, he says. Then he says, I don't create the world at all. This is how, we have to keep on unfolding all these statements to understand exactly what is being meant here. Why he says, I don't create the world at all? Because the world was already existent in me. Only difference is it was in an unmanifest form, seed form, potential form. Just as a huge tree existing within a seed or a baby exists in the womb of the mother. So when a mother looks at a grown-up child, the mother says, this is my son. In fact, that fellow is actually 1 foot taller than the mother. At that time, you don't wonder how such a big person can be in the stomach of the mother. Even though he is big now, you know that previously he was a tiny fetus who was existing in an unmanifest form. So they say, in the DNA, information contained in the smallest DNA is so much that 300 or more books of information can be extracted out of it. Because the child's or the man's all features are there encoded. If your hair has to turn gray at the 43rd year, or if you have to go bald completely in the 55th year, remember it is all coded in your DNA. Many diseases are there in our genes, but we do not know it. Now, of course, lot of scientific experiments are being done to analyze the genes and find out what potential diseases can be there and all that. It's a very, very humongous task to know that. And what is there in the genes, why we do not know? Because they are in the genes in an unmanifest form, abhyakta rupena. Similarly, Krishna says all the details of this universe is already coded in me in abhyakta rupam. And that unmanifest universe is called Prakriti or Maya, world in seed form, matter in potential form. You may call it energy, that's okay. And this unmanifest universe evolves into manifestation. We have seen this in previous chapters also. In second chapter, we saw Abhyaktadini Bhutani, Vyakta Madhyani Bharata, Avyakta Nidanan Yeva, Tatra Ka Paridevana. Then in 8th chapter also Krishna said, Avyakta Vyaktaya Sarvaha, Prabhavantyah Ragame, Ratriagame Praliyante, Tatraiva Vyakta Sanyake. We have seen all these ideas. The world comes into manifestation and again it goes back into unmanifestation. Like the heartbeat, lub tub. Creation also expands and contracts. It's a process of unfolding and folding. We have just now seen the dream example, which is a live demonstration of this process. So what we see in a dream, what we experience in a dream are nothing but the impressions that we have gathered from our observation and experience during the waking state. We can never dream what we have not experienced. Of course, dream will not be in the same order that we have experienced it. It can have a peculiar permutation, combination, etc. The impressions will be projected at random with different combinations. And because of this, we may be familiar with some places or some people in the dream. But there may be some new places and people whom we have not seen at all. And that is because either you might have forgotten those experiences or they might have been carried forward. Those impressions might have been carried forward from previous janmas. Because mind is a continuum, it continues from previous janma. And therefore, today's dream is already there in the waker's mind in a potential form. The recordings are already there. Only playback of some portion happens in the dream. Similarly, the dream world is in Brahman in an unmanifest form, which is called Maya or Prakriti. And Krishna says, in my presence, that is in the presence of Brahman, the whole creation rises and resolves. Now, with this background, let us look at the shloka. He says, Hey Kaunteya, Hey Arjuna. He is actually wants to make sure that Arjuna is listening. So, Hey Kaunteya means, are you awake? Because what has happened till now, only Krishna has been talking right from the beginning. And there is a possibility, though remote, that Arjuna could have dozed off. Of course, that can happen to some of us in the class here. But for Arjuna, very, very, very remote possibility. So he is addressing to see whether Arjuna is awake or he has already dozed off. So, Hey Kaunteya, Hey Arjuna, Sarva Bhutani Prakritim Yanti, all the beings come back to me alone. In what form? In Prakriti form, unmanifest form, otherwise called Maya form. So, Prakritim Yanti Mamikam. Mamika means belonging to me. That is the Prakriti which is dependent on me. So, just as the manifest world is dependent on me, the unmanifest Prakriti, the Maya, is also dependent on me. In Bhagavad Gita, later on, Krishna will say, Mama Maya Duratyaya. My Maya belongs to me, dependent on me. I sustain that Maya also. So, just as the manifest dream is dependent on the Veka, similarly, the unmanifest dream vasanas, the imprint, the samskaras are also dependent on the Veka. So, the imprint becomes the dream, dream becomes the vasana, and I am the substratum of both. So, Krishna says, similarly, the world resolves into Prakriti, which is dependent on me. Mamikam. And when does this happen? He says, Kalpakshaye, at the end of Kalpa. After Brahmaji's day, which we have seen in Mundaka Upanishad, 2000 Chatur Yugas. And therefore, at the end of Kalpa, at the end of duration of a vast time. Actually, when we talk about creation, dimensions or measurements will be very, very big. More about this we will see in the next class, okay? Because as I said, I need to go for my dinner. And so I will stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavada everyone.
Namaskaram,
धन्यवाद रघु जी.
Guruji.
Thank you very much. Please
Thank you,
don't
Guruji.
any
Dhanyawad.
questions.
Namaste.
Sit down. Next week we will have the satsanga.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Yes,
Thank
Guruji.
you.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om. Namaste.
Hari
Dhanyawad.
Om. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.